fraud and its relation to internal control. First, we must understand what is meant by fraud. Fraud is a deliberate act or untruth intended to obtain unfair or unlawful gain. Fraud always entails manipulating information for criminal purposes. It's the management's responsibility to prevent fraud and other irregularities implied by laws. Internal controls and audits are not wholly sufficient to detect fraud, but a system of internal controls and an ongoing process of review can reduce that incidence. For example, installing firewall or software following security rules can regulate the traffic flow, information flow with the internet. Computer crime in the information age includes where computer is the target of the crime or means used to commit the crime. First, computer can become a tool for the crime. For example, computer can be used as a tool to make unauthorized transfers from banking information systems. Second, computer can be a target. For example, accessing data through software secretly installed in it, like malicious software and malware. So we've talked about malware, malicious software. It's a way of committing computer crime. There are 6 types of malware. First, solemnizing. It is to systematically steal very small amounts from transactions through decimals. Second is backdoor, where a programmer can install a code to bypass security screens when once the program is installed or fully installed, then the programmer can bypass the firewalls. Third is the Trojan horse, is to maliciously destroy the data in the hardware. Logic bomb is the fourth, is a secret code as included in the program that activates on a certain date or when an event occurs. Fifth is the worm. It's programming code that replicates in disk, memory, and across networks. Sixth is the zombie. It's a computer programming code that takes over the computer. Then the computer that's been taken over will populate programming code onto other computers through internet connections. But the original computer is not detected. So this malware or the malicious software are a set of instructions that are passed on to other computers or the victimized computers. Computer crime represents an interesting example of process failure. It has been estimated that losses due to accidental, non-malicious acts far exceeds those caused by willful and intentional mistakes. So the enterprise should recognize that the computer must be protected by a system of internal controls that are capable of preventing crimes but also minimizing simple innocent errors and omissions. A framework to design an internal control system. When designing an internal control system, the system of flowcharts helps. Because the system of flowcharts show the process flows, and the process flows will enable the enterprise to identify where and what type of internal controls that should be placed to control those processes and events according to the policies and procedures of the enterprise. As a manager, we can ask the question, what are your concerns about this process? If you take, for example, order process, what are the objectives and related risk? Let's look at a scenario. The first, all the orders are entered in timely manner, but there can be orders that are lost, stolen, or delayed. So there should be internal controls to detect them. Second, all orders are correctly recorded, but the enterprise might miss some orders or record orders that was not received from the customer or record amounts incorrectly. Internal controls should be in place to assure that these processes are conducted appropriately. Third, all the inventory changes are recorded correctly, and it's recorded for the correct item and amount. And internal controls can help. Fourth, accomplish all these activities, the processes, activities cumulatively gives rise to processes. And these processes are accomplished with minimum of resources, such as in relation to ordering, optimizing the sales representatives' time and resources, or the entry clerk's resources, and the computer resources. The purpose of internal control is to provide reasonable assurance of achieving objectives in three categories. First is the operation process control. In relation to operations, enterprise needs to ensure they are efficient and effective. Second is the information process control, to ensure there's reliable reporting. Third is the compliance process controls, to ensure that the enterprise adheres to the laws and regulations. A system of internal control can be arranged in a hierarchy. In this hierarchy, the first one is pervasive controls. These internal controls relate to multiple goals and processes. An example is a code of conduct that's required by staff members. Second is the general IT, information technology control, that focuses on information technology. An example is to prevent unauthorized access through passwords and firewall. Third is business process controls applied to a specific business process, such as billing or cash receipts. For example, check for efficient and effective operating procedures along with best practice. Fourth is application controls. To automate business process controls contained within an IT information technology application systems. For example, check for valid, complete, and accurate data. Another way to examine internal controls is the timing of occurrence in the design phase. First is to look at what are the preventive controls. They are the internal controls that are planned to stop problems from occurring. Second are the detective internal controls to detect and discover problems as they occur. Third is the corrective internal controls, why plans to rectify problems that have occurred. No internal control framework can be made 100% effective. It needs to be implemented with a combination of preventive, detective, and corrective controls. They all should come together to make the internal control framework work at its best.